So UFC Fight Night, Dolidze versus Hernandez is just wrapped up, and what a one-sided card this card was. To be honest, there was some pretty one-sided fights. A lot of weird. There was some borderline weird decisions. Uh, but yeah, let's get into it. First fight of the night, we had Eric McConaughey versus Cody Brundage. I don't really. I can see Eric McConaughey winning this fight. To be honest, I can see him winning the first and third of this fight, but the one weird thing is that one of the judges gave him the second round, which I think Brundage clearly won. And I think one of the other judges gave it a 30-27 to Brundage as well, so that's also very weird because he did get rocked and dropped in the first round. I don't know if it was a complete flush one, like completely flush where he was concussed, but he did get dropped. It wasn't a good visual. So I can honestly see how McConaughey won this fight. I wouldn't say it's a robbery either way, but the judges were tripping a little bit, giving the second round to McConaughey because that was probably Cody Brundage's most clear round of the fight. But yeah, weird fight. This was on short notice. Cody Brundage has another weird fight. He loses by split decision to Eric McConaughey. And yeah, he could have arguably won it. You know, he was just sort of controlling him, but didn't really do too much damage. But you know, you could have definitely gave it to Cody Brundage, but ends up getting lost. He ends up losing, I should say. Then we had Gabriel Hernandez versus Stoliarenko. Fernandez wins. Then we had Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. Now, this was an interesting fight because Medic got dropped early in this fight. It was like, I don't know, I don't think his chin can take the power at welterweight, to be honest with you guys. It's a bit worrying because like there is some much heavier hitters at welterweight than Gilbert Urbina. Like obviously Stariano went out there, brutally chinned him. And now he got dropped badly in the first round by Urbina. Now, Urbina, to be fair, did badly drop Ryan Battle in that fight, so he does have power. It's not like he's like pillow fisted by any means, but it does worry me a little bit that we are seeing Medic get hurt and dropped quite a lot. Somehow didn't get dropped by Semmelsberger though, so you know that's also interesting to factor in, considering how hard Semmelsberger hits. But yeah, Uros Medic eventually catches him, knocks him out brutally out cold. Uros Medic, what a guy, what a guy. He's the beast. Chin worries me at welterweight. If he can ever make lightweight again, he should definitely try and move back down to the lightweight. But if not, you know, he can still have some fun fights. I just worry. Maybe it's just an early thing. Maybe he's just not locked in the beginning of the fights. Maybe he needs to get dropped first. But yeah, that was pretty boring. But you know, came back. I don't know. Even when he got dropped, I just still knew he was going to win because it wasn't like he was concussed. He looked like still in it quite easily, like still in it. And after that, I was like, all right, yeah, he's probably still going to win this, and he did. He went on to win it like 20 seconds later, like immediately after he got dropped, he got back up and chinned him out cold. Crazy back and forth fight considering how short it was. But yeah, great comeback victory by Uros Medic. Be interesting to see who they give him next. Then we had Jocelyn Edwards versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Jocelyn Edwards gets a KO. Brutal KO. Honestly, this was actually a really brutal KO by Edwards. You don't really see many flatline type of KOs like that in women's MMA, especially where she knocks her stiff, lands the follow-up shots that literally stiffen Priscilla there. Like that was bold, like actually very impressive. Like no shit talk here. That actually impressed me. She's actually improving quite a lot. Jocelyn Edwards is actually really good. I think she's on like a 4-fight winning streak now. Or actually, I think she got a bad decision loss recently. No, 3. Okay, 3. Lost to Perez. Not a bad loss in hindsight. But yeah, good performance. Then we had Elijah the Animal. We had Elijah Dave Batista Smith. Tashomi Kazama. Straight up Batista bombed him. He literally just fucking rampage slammed him at bantamweight, picked him up and just slammed him out cold. Kazama is lucky his neck isn't snapped in half. That was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. That's why you just can't use jiu-jitsu anymore because you will just get picked up and slammed out cold. So good performance there by Elijah Smith. He's definitely going to get a performance bonus for that. That was a nasty stuff. Might be KO of the year, to be honest. It was just so beautiful. It was a beautiful slam, you know. Best slam in recent memory, to be honest with you guys. I can't think of a better slam in recent memory. Obviously, there is the Rampage slam on Ricardo Arona. But, like, this is just, like, this is up there, man. This is up there for recent KOs by slam. Like, what are even the recent ones? There's the Brundage. Brundage got a slam KO. Drakkar Klose got a slam KO. I don't know. I think this KO was better, you know. I think there was another slam KO that I'm not remembering off the top of my head. But, you know, there's been some good slam KOs. Jordan Levitt got one on with Matt Wyman, I think it was. But, yeah, beautiful stuff. Then we had Julius Walker versus Rafael Kakawara. Probably butchered that one right there. Good performance by Julius Walker. Scared the shit out of me in the third round, though. He was getting hit with some big, big shots. He gassed out a little bit. But he did. He dropped Raphael as well in the third round, so he still stole that round. Even though he was looking bad for him, he still dropped him. So he still, even with all that, he still managed to win every round in this fight, even when gassing out. Raphael's definitely going to get cut. It was a fun back and forth fight, but they are going to cut him unless they want to build up some light heavyweight prospect, which I could also see. Maybe they do him versus Navo Sterling if Sterling loses to Bilardo. I could see that. I could see them do that. Maybe they even want to do him versus Bilardo. Get Bilardo a win if he loses to Sterling. I don't know. I feel like they might keep him around just to give him like a layup. Use him as a layup, I should say. But more than likely not, he'll get cut. And Julius Walker gets the win. A bit of a worse performance than he had against Alonzo Manyfield, weirdly enough. I thought he looked a bit better against Manyfield than he did against Raphael, but maybe he had the element of surprise when he fought Manyfield. But still, overall good performance. He won. But yeah, got to really work on the striking defense and just positional control. He gets takedowns, but he just can't keep people down. Then we had Christian Leroy Duncan versus Eric Anders. Now, Eric Anders, he ate a dick kick, he ate an eye poke, and then he ate a spinning elbow and got brutally KO'd by Christian Leroy Duncan. Great performance by Leroy Duncan. Eric Anders got a takedown, but didn't really do anything with it. Leroy Duncan got back up. And then, he just sort of beat the shit out of him. It wasn't really super competitive. The takedown is like sort of all the only big moment Eric Anders had in this fight. But Christian Leroy Duncan gets it done. Another big win for him. This is his biggest win. He's had some pretty good performances of late. Only 2 losses, Armin Petrosian and Greg Rodriguez. Not bad losses to have. Maybe Armin Petrosian's not the best loss to have, but losing to Robocop's not too bad, especially on short notice. He was meant to get Robert Burschek. He ended up getting Greg Rodriguez, which is an insane different opponent to get for short notice. That is not the type of guy you want to get on short notice. So that was crazy. But yeah, great performance there by Christian Leroy Duncan. Then we had Gene Matsumoto versus Miles Johns. Now I know MMA Guru said anyone who thought that Miles John won was mentally impaired or something crazy like that, but I disagree. You could say maybe I'm mentally impaired, but I honestly thought Miles Johns took the first and the third on damage. I really did. I think he landed the biggest shots. Yeah, the leg kicks and the body kicks were big from Matsumoto, but I thought those shots that Miles John landed, and maybe Matsumoto just has such a good chin that he didn't get rocked or hurt badly by them, but they were big shots, man. Very big shots. He was landing so many of them. Got takedown as well in the third round. Didn't really do too much with it, so you can't really score that, but I don't know, he had some control time. Matsumoto didn't really do anything. He shot takedowns, but he didn't get them. I don't know, I just I leaned towards Miles Johns, but if, you give it to Matsumoto, I wouldn't say it's a robbery, but I just thought that Miles Johns stole the first and the third, but, they gave it to Matsumoto. It is what it is. I still don't think he's a great prospect. He looked good, he looked very aggressive at points, but I just don't rate him too highly, man. I picked Rob Font to beat him. I picked Miles Johns. I think Miles Johns did beat him, but it was close. I won't say robbery or anything like that. I think Cody Adden's a much better prospect. He even did better against Dan Argueta than him. If Cody Adden comes back, clean bill of health, he'll destroy Gene Matsumoto. And hopefully we see that fight one day. Then we had Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez. I so should have picked Andre Fili. I said, Christian Rodriguez, he always loses against veterans. He beats all these prospects. But, but I'm going to pick him anyway. And he loses. He just can't beat these veterans. Maybe he's got a really close relationship with his grandfather and he just doesn't want to beat up on the elderly. And maybe that's why, maybe he doesn't put on as tough of a performance and doesn't do as much damage as he should. But every time he fights one of these older vets, he always fucking loses. I'm not picking him against a vet, and ever again, anytime he fights a vet, I'm just picking him. I don't care who it is. If you book him against Darren Elkins, I'm picking Darren Elkins at this point. I don't care. I really will pick Darren Elkins to beat Christian Rodriguez. I just don't get it. How is he losing to these veterans? But how is he beating Isaac Dolgarian? How is he beating Austin Bashi? How is he beating Raul Rosas Jr.? How is he beating Cameron Simon? How is he beating these good undefeated prospects, but you're losing to these older veterans past their prime? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But Andre Fili gets it done. Still hasn't been on a 2-fight losing streak. He still loses one, wins one. So, congratulations to Andre Fili. Then we had Lucindo versus Hill. Lucindo wins. Then we had Urseg versus Odie Osborne. Now I went live for this fight. It was a lot scarier than I would have hoped it to be. Fucking hell, man. Usyk got badly dropped in the first round, which was scary, very worrying. He just didn't look like he had the confidence on the feet. I feel like confident Usyk does a lot better in this fight. I feel like he maybe gets a finish, but I feel like he just, off the free fight losing streak, just lost a bit of confidence. But did come back, did win the second and third round, clearly, in my opinion. Clearly wins those rounds, and he wins the fight. Third round, he almost got a submission. He really almost got that rear naked choke, but, unfortunately, ran out of time, landed some ground and pound. Clearly wins the third round. I think he won the second, but the second was close, but I just think he pushed ahead a little bit more. First round, clearly Odie Osborne's round. But Odie Osborne's always dangerous. The thing is, he's 13-9 now, which is insane now that I'm saying that out loud. He is 13-9 in the UFC. But he does always have a really good first round. I mean, he chinned that guy his last fight, so it's not like... And, he beat Charles Johnson, so it's not like he's like a complete schmuck who loses to every good guy he fights. He's got some underrated wins on his record for sure, but I don't know. It's just crazy. Usyk had like a much more competitive fight than I would have imagined. Just because Usyk did have a competitive fight with Moreno a couple of months ago. Usyk did have a competitive fight with Pantoja a year ago, like literally just like a couple, like maybe 14 months ago, 15 months ago. I don't know. Just crazy how maybe 13 months ago actually. I don't know, something like that. Still crazy how it all works. But Usyk gets the win. I think he's going to come back a lot better now after that. He didn't have the best performance against Odie Osborne, but I just think that was a confidence issue. I don't think it was that Odie Osborne's better or that Usyk's regressed. I think that was all momentum, and it was all confidence based that he was losing that fight. Like, he was getting pressured a little bit, but then when he started to actually put the pressure on Odie Osborne, he was doing a lot better. And he gets the win. Odie Osborne loses, but he showed a good account of himself. Like, I don't know, Odie Osborne could probably drop most people in the first round. He gasses out. That's the one thing with Odie Osborne. He gasses out, but he is always dangerous because he's super athletic. He's super long for the weight class. He's powerful. He will always give people a tough go of things for the first minute or two, but then eventually he does gas out. Plus, it was right on the equilibrium. I think he looked a lot hurt than he actually was. It was on the equilibrium. He lost his balance, but I don't think he was brutally concussed or anything like that. I think visually it looked a lot worse, but on the replay it didn't look as bad. It looked like he got Khan Offlead. When Khan Offlead fought Marion Santos, when he got KO'd, he literally got frozen. One thing I want to say about Usyk really needs to stop freezing in front of his opponents when he pressures. He goes to throw a punch, then he second guesses himself, and then gets caught with a 1-2. That was happening a lot against Odie Osborne. I didn't like that. That was the whole reason he would get caught, is because he would move forward, get in his face, and then he would literally go to throw a punch, and then he would stop and then get caught with a 1-2. That was a bit worrying that would happen. But Steve Erceg's coming off a win now. Erceg's, we're back. Then we had the main event, Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Dolidze. You got to stop downing Fluffy, guys. Why would anybody pick Roman Dolidze to beat Fluffy? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to say I told you so, but I repeatedly told everybody I told you so on live, so I'm going to say it here again. I actually do like to say it, actually. I was lying. I just don't get why so many people are so confident in Roman Dolidze to win this fight. He just doesn't really have a particularly great set of skills, If Roman Dolidze was a character in Taken, he would literally be like, I don't know who this is, but I have a particular leg lock, and I'm going to find you, and I am going to leg lock you. If he was in Taken, Roman Dolidze would literally just be like, all right, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to heel hook you. That's it. That's all he had. He doesn't have any striking skill. He just wings overhands where he doesn't set them up. He's not technical in any way. And he just got beat up. I told you guys, Hernandez has good striking. People act like he's one-dimensional. People act like he has nothing on the feet. He's chipped people on the feet before. He has good boxing. And his last fight against Brendan Allen before this, he was badly injured and he was on antibiotics. I think that made a big difference. He slowed down maybe a bit more in that fight than he probably would have in a normal set of circumstances. So good performance by Anthony Hernandez. Absolutely big brothers Roman Dolidze. Not only does he big brother him, he literally rear naked chokes him with no hooks in. That's how you know Roman Dolidze was gassed out. Plus, Roman Dolidze's never had a good gas tank. So I honestly just don't get the thought process and all the people who were picking Roman Dolidze. I remember people saying, this is going to be a really tough matchup for him. It's one of the toughest matchups for him. Why? If it's on the feet, he beats Roman Dolidze on the feet. And even then, he will eventually just gas him out because he's got much better cardio and he's got the better boxing game. And he showcased that here. I want to see Anthony Hernandez. If they don't do Izzy versus RDR, I want to see Hernandez versus Izzy. I think Hernandez is an absolute nightmare matchup for Israel Adesanya. I'd love to see it. I really think he would beat the shit out of Izzy. I think he could beat Rob. Honestly, I think he beats most guys in the division besides RDR, DDP, and Chimaev. I think there is a tough matchup. But past the first round, he could definitely break Chimaev. That's a possibility. I just think Chimaev would probably catch him on the feet. But you never know. You really never know. Like, Dolidze's massive. He's probably the biggest middleweight, and he was still getting big brothered, and the strength wasn't. The strength difference wasn't apparent in this fight. So yeah, great stuff from Anthony Hernandez. Beats him up badly, butchers his face, shuts his orbital bone, lands a lot of good elbows, lots of good 1-2s, throws him around all over the place, chucks him around, and subs him. Anthony Hernandez is now subbed Rodolfo Vieira and Roman Dolidze, two great jiu-jitsu practitioners. Jiu-jitsu, like, put Anthony Hernandez up at heavyweight, and I reckon he could sub Marcus Pachecha. Like, I honestly reckon he could. I reckon he could. You'd gas him out and he'd eventually sub him. He's just weaponized cardio is OP. Especially crazy guy with that build, much smaller middleweight, just mauling a guy like Roman Dolidze. And very impressive. Love Anthony Hernandez. Great performance. Book him against Izzy. I don't care. RDR or Hernandez, they're the fight you do with Izzy. You don't give Izzy Paulo Costa. You don't give Izzy Sean Strickland. It's time for the young guns to move their way up the division. Not even the young guns, because RDR's like pretty old. He's like 2 years younger than Izzy. But it's time for the young up and coming or the new guys to like move up the division. No, we don't need to see these shitty rematches we've all seen before. Nobody needs Izzy versus Costa or Izzy versus Strickland. Time for him to take on some young up and comers. He literally lost to Almavov. You're in no position to be bargaining and saying, all right, I want this guy next. I get you was champion for a long time. I get that. But you're on a free fight losing streak, bud. You don't get to move up the division. And you don't get to fight Paulo Costa, who's literally like fucking 1-4 in his last like 5 fights. Like, no, that's not happening, buddy. Anyway, great performance by Anthony Hernandez. He's very good. He's very good. People were really doubting him in this matchup, and he went in there and he showcased that he really is that good. But yeah, great performance, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, put on notifications. Adios. Goodbye. Ciao.